Today for breakfast, we are going to be making chocolate strawberry oats. I know that I do a lot of oatmeal recipes on here, but oats are so versatile. They're so quick and easy to make. All we're going to do here is add our oats into a bowl, add our cocoa powder, stir it around a little bit, and then add our maple syrup in and stir that around again. I'm just adding in some hot water. Like I said, I really like to use instant oats, and I highly recommend anybody out there who has a time crunch, who has work to get to or school to get to and doesn't have a lot of time to make breakfast, just go for the instant oats. They are a tiny bit more processed, but they still have the same nutritional value as all the other kinds of cut oats out there. And just save yourself some time and a little bit of sanity, get the good food in, and get yourself some instant oats. I just added a little bit of coconut flakes on top of this, and voila. For lunch, we're going to be making one of the most requested dishes that I get whenever I post this on Instagram. It's a cold potato salad. So first we need to steam some potatoes. The way that I do this every single time is I add a quart of water into my Instant Pot, put my steamer tray in there, and then I put my potatoes in. So I like to use the red baby potatoes. They taste super creamy, and I just put as many in here as I possibly can fit, just because every time I make potatoes, I'll just leave them in the fridge if I have extra, and they'll be something that I can just cook up really fast. So I put those in my Instant Pot for 10 minutes, and then we're just going to take them out. What I'm doing here is I'm just going to be chopping the potatoes into smaller bits in this little bowl because they're hot. But what I've noticed making this recipe over time is that using the hot potatoes and making a dressing for it, it helps it to soak up more of the flavor, and it turns out so much better if you use hot potatoes. To make this dressing, we are going to need cashew butter, lemon juice, some garlic powder, a pinch of salt, and some black pepper to taste. Just add a tiny bit of water into that and then stir that around until it becomes nice and creamy. Next, we're going to add some veggies into this. I'm just using what I have on hand. Some chopped red bell pepper and some red onion. You can really use whatever you like in here. I've used tons of different things. I've used broccoli, I've put baby tomatoes in here, I put spinach in here sometimes, or greens, or steamed kale. Really, whatever your taste preference is, just go for it. So we're going to add our dressing in and then toss it around. This potato salad is really good when it's cold, so you want to let it sit in your fridge for an hour or two, but it makes a super ideal thing to bring to work or school, especially if you don't have a way to heat up food and you just want something that's really refreshing. This is like your go-to work or school meal. For dinner, we're going to be making some sweet potato sushi bowls. So here I'm just chopping up a few sweet potatoes. Like the normal potatoes, whenever I'm chopping and baking things, I just like to do as many as I can for leftovers and to throw into bowls and to throw into other meals. So I bake these in my air fryer on 360 degrees for 20 minutes, and they turn out perfect, just like this. Super golden, creamy, delicious. All we're going to be doing for this is adding some brown rice into a bowl. This was something that I already also had pre-cooked, which I highly recommend doing this just because if you have leftovers, like all of this stuff in your fridge, it's super easy to throw together bowls like this. So you can really add whatever you want into this. I have my sweet potatoes, and then I chopped up 2 pieces of nori into small sheets, put that on the side. I had half an avocado sitting in my fridge, but you could also add, tofu or some type of tahini to this. Just drizzle some soy sauce over top and some sesame seeds, and then I'm adding in some more bell pepper that I had and a little bit of cilantro. I feel like I say this before every recipe, but this one is super simple. All we're gonna need is half a cup of whole wheat flour. We're just going to pour that into a bowl along with a 1/4 cup of vital wheat gluten, a teaspoon of baking powder, and a little bit of salt. Just mix together your dry ingredients and add in a tiny dash of vanilla. Then we are going to slowly add in water until we get the right consistency. You don't want these too thin or else they'll be impossible to flip. So I typically add in about 1.5 cups of water. I like to use my griddler for this because it's super non-stick and I never have to use oil or have any trouble flipping these, except for, of course, for this video. The way that you know these are done is that you can stick your spatula under and it's like smooth. If you see what I'm doing here, like these are not done. You don't want to flip them. Here is one that's done, so you want to like flip it over and let it cook for another 2 to 3 minutes on each side. My griddler for some reason wasn't heating up the right way, so I had a lot of trouble this time, but I'm not perfect. This recipe actually makes 6 decent sized pancakes, and I only made half the batch because Derek was gone and I wanted to have my breakfast sausages on the side of this, which was in my other high protein breakfast recipe video. I'll leave the link below for that. But I just like to add berries, some of this vegan Ready Whip, and a little bit of maple syrup, and it's super good. For our chili, we are going to need an Instant Pot. If you don't have an Instant Pot, I will leave stovetop instructions down below, but we're just going to add some garlic and onion into our Instant Pot on the saute function. Add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of water and just let that saute until it's fragrant. Then we're going to add in 28 ounces of diced tomatoes, some water, red lentils, and I have 1/2 cup of textured vegetable protein here. You can leave this out if you don't want to consume any soy, but it does add about 25 grams of protein. Add in some celery. We got some spices like cumin, paprika, and chili powder, and then we're just going to put that on manual high pressure for 20 minutes. Once it comes out, it will look like this. It's a really thick, hearty chili, and it also gets thicker as it kind of cools down a little bit. It's really, really delicious if you just make like a cheese toasty and have that on the side. Or the other thing that I like to make is just some toasted Ezekiel bread and just eat that with it on the side. It's really delicious. For this lentil curry, the first thing we're going to need is some coconut milk. I really like the Thrive brand just because the only ingredient in it is coconut and water. We're going to do the same thing, add some onions, some garlic, and some water on the saute function and just let that saute for about 5 minutes until it's fragrant. This just gives it some more flavor. Then we're just going to add in our coconut milk, add in some lentils. I like to mix together red lentils and brown lentils. We got some chickpeas, about 1/2 of a really large sweet potato chopped. I also like to add in whatever kind of veggies I have, so I had some broccoli and cauliflower, but you could add in anything else. And then we just have some curry powder and garam masala. You can put in a little bit of better than bouillon for some flavor. Just add like a teaspoon or 2 of it. And then we're just going to top this off with some water. I also like to add cayenne to this to make it a little spicy, but you can leave that out if you want as well. And we're just going to cook that on manual again for 20 minutes. At the end, I like to add in some tofu. Again, you can leave this out if you don't want to consume soy. It just adds in about another 25 grams of protein, or you could just add this like later and not add it into the actual curry. I really like to eat this with a side of rice, but it's really good on its own as well.